So we'll try to be brief, but we have a lot of stuff to cover, and we'll try to make it worth your time. Experience Intelligence just entered the chat. Let's talk about why we're here today. A lot of stuff is happening. A lot of stuff is happening in the industry. This is the most amazing time we could be in the job positions we are, right? Has there ever been more stuff happening technology-wise, market-wise? Has stuff ever moved faster? I don't think so. I'm super excited. I hope you are too. So, to set the stage a little bit for the challenges that we all face, Contentsquare faces, you face, we need to talk a little bit about what is reality, what is the customer of our, like what is your customer experiencing, what are they telling you all the time, and how can you listen to that? Because that's essentially what Contentsquare does or helps you do. And remember, like the customer is always telling us stuff. They're always saying something. They're just saying it in different ways. Some of it is digital footprint, some of it is natural conversation, and more frequently, it is now also agent interactions. And this is, of course, a new thing we have to consider. It's been around for a little bit while, but it's going to be much more pervasive and much more kind of like in our face. So what are customers saying to us, whether it's like silently on the website or to us in conversation? They say they want less friction and more flow. So let that be the theme of the rest of what we're talking about today. Less friction and more flow. So if the job for us is to create less friction and more flow, let's first define friction. Friction can be very different things depending on which industry you are. Are you a luxury brand? Are you a price shopping brand? Are you a rare purchase or a frequent purchase brand? But let's take an example everybody can get behind, because most of us have at some point in time done exactly this. We've opened tab number 20 trying to book travel and realized that this is just not happening tonight, because we have the flights, we have the stays, we have the maps, we have the ratings, and it's just a lot of work. This is a great example of friction. Who here, like I can't really see the hands, but I'm just going to assume that almost everyone in this crowd has at some time went like, I wonder if ChatGPT could do an itinerary for me. So Rami just spilled the beans that I got married this summer. This is actually the effect of me doing a prompt in ChatGPT, which basically said, 3 weeks, 8 people, scuba diving. I want a surf class, and I also, by the way, want to get married on the beach. And it actually worked. So here we are. Let's start with breaking it down. If we want to create less friction and more flow, we need to kind of look at our different estates, and this is what Contentsquare obviously helps with. So let's take just one example out of many estates we have, the website. And let's think about what it is you are actually asked to do as humans. You're asked to you're asked to be able to understand and break down something that's very, very complex. Just a regular website itself is typically composed out of 20, on average. We find that commercial websites are on average 20 different page types, from the landing page to the product detail page, to the checkout, to the cart. And each of those, in turn, consists of, on average, 20 zones or elements. So it's the navigation part, it's the header, the banner, it's the product, it's the images, it's the clickable buttons, and so on. And each of those zones, in turn, have about 20 metrics you could be looking at, should be looking at. Add to that, beyond your actual website, there are external factors. There are other things we need to consider. Well, semi-external facts, like how fast is the page loading? Do you have errors on the page? What are competitors doing? Exactly what device are you on right now? Is your content attractive? Are you on the right level with pricing, and so on and so forth? So let's say this is on average 10 dimensions that we add to the complexity. So that's 20 times 20 times 20 to the power of 10. So you don't need to memorize the exact number, but it's a very, very large number of data points. And this is, if we're looking in Contentsquare, the average number of data points actually available to you in your role where you are asked to make sense of this. So at work, essentially, you're being asked to make sense of this. As a human, with a human brain, you're asked to see, well, I think that the most impact I can make is to start here and do this. And for a surprisingly long period of time, this has actually worked. Some of us are better than others at this, and so we can get a little bit ahead, a bit ahead. Some have been lucky, some have been less lucky. But we're coming to the point, and I think we're already there, where the scale of data is no longer human-sized. Like this will just keep going, and it'll be more complex and more complex. But we believe we're already at the point where only AI can make sense of data sets this large. And when we say AI, and I used the example previously about ChatGPT and the travel itinerary and so on, that's just phase one. And I'm sure many of you have been to AI-focused seminars and so on, and have been thinking about what is the future, where are we on the trajectory of things and so on. And of course, Contentsquare has a point of view on this as well. So, as you will hear soon from Stephanie, like what is coming, the interesting thing is that we're only essentially today around us at phase one. We're at the reactive, enter a prompt, get a response type AI. But what we're seeing now and what we're in the middle of, and looking back on 2025, I think we will see that 2025 was the year of AI agents. But when that became the prevalent technology and that like the cool stuff, right? The agent is proactive, it's automated. More and more you will give it agency to act on your behalf, not only give you reports when it finds interesting things, but actually with agency make changes. And then comes the last stage, if we decide to break it down like this, AI automation. That's what's changed, that's what's going to change everything. Literally everything. Because once AI automation is in place with one of your competitors, you need to do it as well, or you will be helplessly behind. Because the AI automation part, when fully deployed, allows what I've always personally dreamed about, which is the segment of one. The segment of one where you have perfect insight, and not only do you have perfect insight in every user, in every session, but you can also take action immediately, automated. Cool stuff, huh? So where is Contentsquare in this? Well, we're embracing what's happening because we intend to lead the charge into all of this. And Stephanie will tell you more about what's coming and what's really, really hot. But if we just look back at what happened during the year, in May, we launched Sense. So Sense is our first step into all of this. And it's chat-based, and it allows natural language conversation to essentially immediately move anyone who is using Contentsquare to kind of expert level, like what used to take some time to kind of learn to get to previously. Is this popular? Yes, it's popular. Since it was launched, over 150,000 queries have been executed using Sense. It's very, very well received because, let's face it, everybody wants to be a Contentsquare expert user. Is it widespread? Yes, in the enterprise segment already, 86% of all customers have adopted and started using Sense. And do I see Apoteket in the crowd? Hands up, anyone from Apoteket? Apoteket, hey, our Apoteket crowd. Guys, you're great. If you haven't seen the success story we have together with Apoteket, it's published online, so just go and check it out. It's awesome. Like, you guys really deployed Sense. You told us how it democratized analytics for you and how more users could more easily start getting the benefits from the platform that we provide you with. Very, very good. Have we done anything else? Yes, we have. So, a much beloved feature in the platform is, of course, the session replays. And session replays, while they are a lot of fun and very, very interesting and very, very useful, when there are a lot of them, it of course is helpful if you don't have to kind of check out all of them. So in many, many cases, using AI-driven insights engine to summarize the insights, and then also not only find the actual signals in the noise of the session replay, but also group more and more of them together to identify how many of these particular replays are there with this particular behavior. And this becomes so popular and so important to so many of our customers that a lot of development has gone into this. And now we are happy to say that you can group up to 100 session replays in one summary, which is a lot. Because if you think about how much time that saves, one way of counting it is that if all of the session replays that have now been consumed using session replay summaries would have been consumed using just going by replay, that's the equivalent of 74,000 hours per week. So this just one of these examples, like the ChatGPT versus the 20 tabs when you're booking your travel. You're saving so much time that can be put back into more productive and interesting things. So we're super proud of what's already happened. But maybe more interesting to you guys, there's now a lot more coming. So Stephanie, would you like to tell us about that?
Yep. Thanks, Marcus. All right. Well, so seeing all the adoption, right, that we've had. Let me go back one. There we go. Seeing all the adoption and the feedback that we've had around Sense over the past year, we wanted to give you more, right? So I'm really psyched today to be sharing with you some of our latest Sense updates. So we're going to start with Sense Chat. We talked a little bit about it. That's strange. Okay. So we're going to start with our Sense Chat capabilities. It's Sense Chat 2.0 because we've improved, we've given it more features and improved the look and feel. And I have a little demo here. So with Sense Chat, Yes, with Sense Chat, basically, you can just ask a question, right? And it will give you insights in seconds. So first, it's going to tap into the zoning capabilities to actually see, how users interact with different elements on the page. And it's going to give me the low, the high-performing elements, and it's going to give me recommendations for optimizations. Additionally, it gives you follow-up questions based on what it is that you're looking at. And it is available for zoning analysis, but also for error, users, and acquisition analysis. So honestly, I can't wait to see what it is that you ask Sense Chat next. Talking about next. Next up is our error summaries. Now, some of you might be familiar, right, with the Contentsquare benchmark report. That's something usually customers really like to get their hands on. And so you might know that we still have 40% of users who are frustrated with their digital experiences. And the main culprit for it is errors. So the thing is that to understand errors, it hasn't always been, very simple. Typically, it's a lot of technical data, pretty intimidating data. So now we're replacing that with essentially an error summary, a glanceable report, right, where you can understand what's happening, how it's impacting the user journey, as well as, where this is happening. So here you see the steps to reproduce the error, and you can see here where this is happening, on which device, browser, operating system, location, sessions, etc. And we can also assess the impact to the business of that error. And additionally, we can copy the entire error summary with all its details and all its context and actually plug that into a conversation or a ticketing tool so that perhaps our friend John can go ahead and take a look into it because, the estimated impact of this is $100,000. So probably a pretty high priority at this point. And so I think it's never been, more important, right, to actually understand what's happening, where are frustrations, and what to fix. And that's exactly the purpose of our error summaries. All right, so on to perhaps the unsung hero of analytics, and that would be mappings. Now, mappings are a powerful thing, but they can be a little bit time-consuming to set up manually. And so you can now meet our mapping assistant. And one of the common kind of use cases for this is actually to look at different product categories. So maybe based on shoe styles or shoe brands. And I'm going to go ahead and ask my mapping assistant to group all shoe product pages by brand. And now what's cool is that the mapping assistant will actually know exactly the structure of my website. Like, I don't need to memorize URL patterns and structures, none of that. And additionally, it's actually going to show me, the rules that it came up with to create the mappings, and I can edit those. So I get all the time savings, but I still have control over my rules, over the rules that guide my mapping assistant. Okay, so now I'm going to go into Page Comparator. I'm going to draw up that mapping that was created, and therefore I can, for instance, compare my Converse and my New Balance shoes conversion rate, exit rate, bounce rate, what have you. And we actually asked customers, right, our beta customers, what they thought and what benefit they got out of our mapping assistant. And, it was pretty resounding, right, to hear what they had to say. Some were touching on the time savings with a lot of less manual effort and, avoiding some of the repetitive manual work. Some were actually talking to the fact that they can enable personalized analysis with these mappings thanks to custom mappings, for specific purposes. And just all around, customers were saying, this is really good and accurate, like at grouping product or initial pages to give me a head start. So, pretty powerful quotes right there. All right, so we've built in, as you can tell, a lot of intelligence across an array of capabilities. And, we want to leverage AI for three things. One is to accelerate your onboarding, and that's why Mapping Assistant can help. We want to automate those tedious tasks, right? So back in March, we came out with our session replay summaries. Marcus was talking about it. You essentially get that summary of a bunch of session replays, and you don't have to actually view all that replay footage. So lots of time savings there. And so we're back at it with our summaries. And third objective is actually to assist you and everyone at all skill levels, whether you're a data wizard or whether you're a complete novice. It's as easy as just asking a question in plain English and getting to the insights faster. All right, so that's great, right? We can assist, hopefully, with mappings, with Sense Chat, with summaries. But we think we can do more. We can go further with this, right? Because we know that as customers, you're still struggling with, not enough resources, not enough time. And this is, analytics is a complex game. It is complex work to do. And so our vision has always been to be able to automate the entire analytics process. So imagine if for everybody on your team, you had an expert buddy, right, who could actually be on hand to conduct some of that complex analysis. Well, so we're pretty psyched. I'm pretty psyched. You are too, right? To actually share with you today that, our Sense Analyst is here. It's in beta. And this is our AI agent. It's built off of, 10 plus years of Contentsquare intelligence and Contentsquare expertise. And essentially, it's like having not one, but like an army of agents, right? Ready to help, ready to work, on hand day and night, giving you recommendations based off of data that is always fresh. So why don't we go ahead and give it a go with a little demo here. Is it okay? I feel like there's a lot of, up there?
Try it like that.
Sorry about that.
Better?
Raise your hand if it's annoying again. Okay, great. So let's go into our demo. All right, so here we have Sense Analyst. It's going to start thinking and building an analysis plan with all the step kind of by step flow. There we go. So you can see here it's thinking, and there we go. Here is kind of the step-by-step analysis it wants to conduct. And now it's going to start executing it, basically looking at or creating a journey analysis for what's leading to my checkout. Not only that, but it actually can identify the checkout steps, and for that, it's going to build a funnel for me. There we go. Now, where it gets really interesting is that Sense Analyst actually identified that there was a drop-off, right, from the cart page. And so what it's going to do is going to take that page and start scanning the page, right? It's going to take a snapshot of that page. And it's going to take that snapshot and send it over to an AI model that is able then to identify and to label the different zones on the page. There we go, the zones you can see on my right, your left. And then from here, basically, what happens is that I'm able to then to have zone level insights. If, I have something on the bottom of the page, but that's actually getting a lot of clicks, well, maybe I need to bring it up a notch. And additionally, it can also read session replays, right? So in addition to the quantitative data that you have from zoning journey analysis that we just saw, you also have the great qualitative data from your session replays. And then basically what it's doing now is it's going to start creating a narrative. It's going to start telling you a story about what's happening on that page, right? Zone by zone. It's going to tell you what's working, where people are encountering frustrations. It's going to be able to give you recommendations zone by zone as well. And not only that, but I can actually save the prompt and schedule the analysis on maybe a daily or weekly basis, so that essentially, on maybe like a daily basis, I can get fresh insights into my inbox automatically. I mean, that's pretty cool, right, for what I call low touch. All right, and it's just catching up. There we go. Okay. So we've talked about getting insights obviously from the platform, but also directly in your inbox, right? But what if you want to get insights wherever you are? So there's something, and I'm going to use a term that's a bit jargony and techy here. It's called the Model Context Protocol. So you can immediately ignore this, right? Except if we have data people in the room, they're bouncing off their seat. They know what I'm talking about. But the thing to understand is the Model Context Protocol allows AI agents, right, to talk to each other. So what if directly from your AI chatbot, whether that's Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, what am I missing, Copilot, what if from that AI chatbot, you could actually, find all the bugs in Project Alpha without having to go in Jira? You actually would have those insights directly from Claude. Or perhaps you want to create a feature flag, and you don't need to open up Optimizely, you get it in Claude. Or an A/B test, maybe you want to create. Well, so Contentsquare is also getting in the game and is basically surfacing, allowing, to surface those insights directly from Claude, ChatGPT, or other AI chatbots. And we really think that this is disruptive because what it means is that as a human, I don't have to go into 3 different applications and then kind of slice and dice and coalesce all this information. No, essentially, I have agents talking to each other, right? And basically completing entire workflows across these applications. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so we've talked about, being hard at work, bringing new Sense capabilities, whether it is, of course, the mapping assistant, the error summaries, the improved chat, and that's all available already today, and it is available by default. All you have to do is, accept the conditions and terms for AI. And we are also, we have announced our new and exciting Sense Analyst, as well as MCP support. Now, both of those are rolling out in the next coming months. We are in kind of a beta phase for those. All right, so I've talked a lot about, our AI features, and they wouldn't be anything, they wouldn't be possible without the data. And AI capabilities are only as good as the data that feeds them. And we've enabled smart capture technology to essentially allow you to have the best data. What I mean by the best data is, of course, data that's easy to collect. Now, of course, other players than us allow manual tagging, and so do we. But we also provide, automatic capture of all that rich and very broad data, right? Replays, behavioral data, you name it. And it has to be complete. So we talked about rich and deep and broad data, but additionally to that, we allow retroactive analysis so that if your goals change, you still have access, right, to the fresh data, always latest and greatest information. Okay, so we talked about data capture. I want to talk a little bit about mobile here because obviously we all spend a tremendous amount of time on our mobile devices and traffic has moved right from web to mobile. However, if you look at mobile app analytics, that really hasn't kind of caught up, right, to a lot of the web analytics trends and tools. And so Contentsquare for mobile has just gotten better, giving you really visibility into your mobile app user behaviors, you know, telling you what platforms they're on, what journeys they're taking, what frustrations they're running into. And we now do this not just for, you know, the frameworks that we already supported, like React Native and Jetpack Compose and Flutter, but now we're making that available to all customers who are on Swift UI, a framework as well. So even less tagging for those customers. Okay, so we talked about collecting the data, leveraging the data, but how do you connect that data with your ecosystem, right? And we think that behavioral data, which is what users do, what they experience, is really more powerful than a lot of the demographic data, which is all about who users are. And so Data Connect is a capability that automatically syncs all that rich and broad data from Contentsquare into your data warehouse, and it supports all the major data warehouses. This is a capability that's fully self-serve. It's just a couple of clicks to set up, and then basically you have your data syncing on a self-serve basis. And so what that enables, right, by starting to blend Contentsquare data with other data sources in your data warehouse, it allows to unlock a lot of different use cases, whether that's marketing automation, personalization, and A/B testing, maybe feeding AI models, maybe churn detection, many use cases downstream. And so with that, we've talked about, obviously, you know, connecting that data in your data warehouse, but there is one workflow that, you know, is very common, which is your A/B testing. And, you know, we know that Sense obviously provides recommendations. We talked about that, right? Whether it's your mobile app or your website. But however, you know, putting those, executing, if you will, those recommendations can be pretty clunky. And so now that's all changed essentially because with a single prompt, you're going to be able to trigger experiments directly from Contentsquare. So you can describe a hypothesis, you can give it your test a name, you can describe the variance, and basically you can send that information over into your A/B testing tools so that, you know, the A/B test tool will generate that website and your website is ready to go, ready to test. So really, we're automating, if you will, that flow, right, for A/B testing. And so, you know, we're working, obviously, with Chameleon. We're working with Optimizely on this and other partners like A/B Testy or Dynamic Yield. Okay, so now we've talked about speeding up the analysis, speeding up the recommendations, speeding up the A/B testing. Well, what about the results of your A/B tests, right? We wanted to make that super clear. And so we've actually upgraded the dashboard template for this. And so now you really have a clear view, if you will. So you choose your experiment, you choose your control, and then basically you can start seeing the performance of your different variants on different metrics, whether it's frustration score, whether it's exit rates, and it's, you know, with all of this, you know, we're pretty close to having something automated, at least way less friction when you want to go from all the way from analysis to recommendation to A/B testing and to getting your results on your A/B test. All right, so we've talked about collecting data, leveraging data, you know, bringing that into your ecosystem, but obviously data also allows you, right, to supplement, if you will, a lot of the insights, right? And so talking about converged insights, really to align all teams, what we've also done is brought in product analytics capabilities into Contentsquare. All right, so let's take a look here, starting essentially with acquisition analysis.
Is how we help you understand how your users reach your site. And today,
okay, great. Acquisition analysis. So here, basically, acquisition analysis is all about understanding your traffic sources, whether that's email, display. But now the thing is, you can actually customize it, and maybe you want to understand like the traffic sources coming from your AI chatbot, like ChatGPT, which I'm like configuring right now. Additionally, there we go. Additionally, you can go into the users modules where you have new segments already ready to use, like your purchasers or your returning customers. And you can create custom audiences right on the fly based on the analysis you want to conduct. And you also have the ability for a specific user to look at all the interactions they've had across a user lifecycle, and that it's all summarized so you get the key insights, the potential issues in one go. And finally, you can also create custom audiences and bring those out, if you will, download them to basically use maybe in a marketing automation tool if you want to send a personalized email campaign. So that's a little bit of those product analytics capabilities that we're bringing into Contentsquare. Okay, so we've covered quite a bit, between the data capture and collecting, the making it available to the ecosystem, our sense capabilities, as well as some of the product analytics capabilities to complement all of this. And obviously, that is to nurture, if you will, really a vision around a single source of truth, right, for teams that are marketing, product, data, all across those experience teams. So talking about experience, Marcus, you want to tell us a little bit more about how experience is getting more conversational?
I can, and it's not just me saying it. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Sure.
What a great presentation by Stephanie. Guys, the amount of information we just got on Contentsquare in a short period of time, Stephanie, you're awesome. So experience is getting more conversational, and let's just look at this. Today, as we're sitting here, about 3 billion prompts are executed on ChatGPT alone. That's more than double of what it was at the turn of the year. And if we look a year into the future, predictions, of course, is it's going to be like quadrupled again or something like that, right? So it's growing amazingly fast. And talking about MCP, we see more and more integrations happening right now. Shopify has announced they're allowing conversational transactions to happen. So now you don't just ask ChatGPT for information, you buy through ChatGPT. And what will this mean? It's experience intelligence just got more conversational. What is Contentsquare as the leading company in its field doing about that? Well, we're announcing what I think is the most important acquisition we're going to do this year. We have entered into some of you already know this, but I'm going to tell everybody anyway. We have entered into what's called a definite agreement to purchase or acquire Loris AI, which is a specialist company focusing solely, obsessively on conversational analytics. Why is this important? Why did John Cherky and Contentsquare buy Loris? It's because of numbers like this. Gartner estimates that in a mere 3 years, about 3/4 of all interactions will include, start or end with, or both, a conversational element. This changes everything, because if our job is to understand, remember what we started with, reduce friction and improve flow, right? If that's what we want to do, we need to understand where there is friction and how we can improve flow. So I'm just going to leave you with this today, and I'm fully expecting that next time we're on stage in front of you talking about what happened since last year, this is going to be one of the most important areas, because we are going to start integrating conversational intelligence with experience intelligence. And essentially, this merges into one. So whatever we decide to call it in the end, maybe matters not that much. But the interesting thing is, With this, we understand everything. With this, we understand the conversation part of things. We understand we can do sentiment analysis, choice of words, choice of tone, all of those things together with what's traditionally been where Contentsquare has operated. Oh my God, I'm super excited. I hope you are as well. This is amazing. If we're on the forefront, we're going to be the MVPs of our companies everywhere. So let's just try to do that, right? This is really what we wanted to talk about, Stephanie. I mean, oh my God, this was a speed run, wasn't it?
Yeah, so much innovation in so little time. But you know, we're happy to welcome you to our Contentsquare booth. If you can just click that.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, for demos, for conversations, of course. And Marcus and I are on hand. We're not agents yet, but we still are on hand to answer any of your questions. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, everybody.
Stephanie.